Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Revival of America podcast. This is Jenny. Yeah, excuse me, I just got tongue tied, guys. It's been a day. I've already done 2 shows, so bear with me, guys. Anyway, hello, everybody. This is Jenny with the Revival of America. I am the owner and the host of the Revival of America. Today, we have Warren Armour in the house, guys, from PPN. I'm super excited to have him here. So please, if you have a question for him here on Telegram, feel free to raise your hand. Or if you can't speak, you can write your comment underneath the comment area underneath his picture, and I will either read the questions or you can ask him your question yourself once I unmute your mic. Also, over on Rumble, hello, Rumble. Let me know in the live chat that you can hear me okay. And if you guys have a question for Warren, please write your question in the live chat box right here, and I will read it to him at some point in this podcast. Also, to everybody, please be careful who you listen to, who you follow, what you're putting in your mind, because I'm telling you guys, these people are falling like flies. We just talked about it in my last show with Rob Cunningham. It's getting more obvious who these people are that are the dividers of this MAGA movement. And so just be careful, everybody. The so-called Trump haters, or the never once Trumpers, or whatever you want to call them, they're shining like a light, everybody. So just be careful who you are following and listening to. Also, to everybody, if you come in late to this podcast, you can listen to the podcast either on the podcast host or my social medias. We are being listened to in over 100 countries, guys. We are making a lot of great positive noise with the consistency of the guests and the consistency of their messaging. You can follow the podcast on the podcast hosts, which are iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Apple, Google, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Podbean, Riverside, Amazon Music. Social medias are Jenny Dreed Facebook, at Jenny_Dreed X, at JJ Reed Rumble, at JJ Reed True Social, at JJ Reed Instagram, The Revival of America right here on Telegram, The Revival of America over on YouTube. And everybody, if you're not able to come in here to the lives on Telegram, you can always check us out over on Rumble, because I am streaming them live through Rumble now these days. So it's pretty cool. I'm excited to be doing this, and we're just getting a little bit creative over here with the podcast. Also, to everybody, go to the website, and not the website, excuse me, my email. I'm trying to keep everything central because I'm getting so many messages, whether it be DMs, email, whatever it may be. Centralize it over at therevivalofamerica.com, or not .com, at yahoo.com. And that way I can get your messages there, respond to you in a quicker fashion, and just keep it centralized because of the amount of messaging I do get on a daily basis. If you're trying to get in touch with John Baxter and his staff, email me. I'll tell you the process there. If you're looking for field, what's going on with the field's books, email me there as well. Again, the revival of America at yahoo.com. And that's just where I have to be, guys. It's just easier for me that way. And that way I can just keep everything kind of centralized. Also, too, if you have a story or a journey to tell, send me your synopsis of your story over to TROA submissions at yahoo.com. I will read through them, and I will get back to you via email if I believe it's a legitimate story. Because unfortunately, guys, there are some people sending in uh, not truthful stories, and they're not legit. And I'm not going to put that on my show. We just have those people, unfortunately, out there that are trying to just get on a show, and it's really sad. But these scammers, guys, they're getting more creative by the day, whether it be trying to scam you of your money or just trying to make BS bullshit up, right? So just be careful, guys. Also, too, if you get a random message, somebody pretending to be me or any of my guests, know that I will never reach out to you and randomly ask you if you're ready for the scare event, finances, crypto, anything like that. If you get something like that, please block, report, and let me know so I can make sure they're not in any of my channels. And then, then that way, because I try to keep my channels pretty clean from the scammers and trolls. I'm constantly removing people, removing comments. I am noticing over there on Rumble, when I have a show with John Baxter, we're getting nefarious people coming in there pretending to be John, throwing out an email. If you respond to that email, they start talking to you. The next thing you know, they're asking for money. You've given them money, and then you have nothing to show for it. So you guys, if you fall for that at this point, because I always tell you it's not me, it's not my guest, then that's going to be on you. But this is the stuff that I watch for, I listen for, and I let you know what's going on, because not all of you want to sit in these chat rooms or podcasts. I get it. But that's what I'm here for. I do that. But also, too, if you're in those noisy BS lying chat rooms, podcasts, Get out of them, guys, because this is a war for the mind, right? And your mind is a very powerful tool. So be careful again what you're listening to and who you're following. And for those of you that have a story that might have been nervous to tell it before, don't be. I highly encourage everybody to do it, because remember, everybody, it's your voices, your stories that are going to help shape this new world that we are literally seeing, that we are right now. We are walking into it right now with all these changes happening. So with that, everybody, Warren's going to be giving us about an hour and a half of his time today. So if you have questions, feel free to raise your hand here on Telegram. I will unmute your mic and you can ask a question to him at some point. But I would like to welcome my good friend Warren to the stage. How are you?
I'm real good. How are you?
I'm great, man. It's been a while. How you been?
I've been great. I've been great, just doing my thing and watching you do your thing. And I'm happy about what you're doing and always support you. So I'm proud of you, Miss
Oh,
Jenny. You're
I
doing
love you.
great.
Thank you, Warren. Well, I always support you guys too over there at PPN. I
I
love you
know.
guys. And you guys always have a spot on my show. Dallas, unfortunately. And by the way, those of you that ask about Dallas, he's still here. He just has a day gig. His daughter has a track meet today. He will be on next week. So he's still here, but we're trying to finagle him however best it fits his schedule. So he'll be back. He hasn't left us. He's still with you guys too, right, Warren?
Yeah, he does a show pretty much every day at 12 o'clock with Chaz.
Yeah, because I think his new gig takes him off in the afternoon, right?
Yeah, I think, yeah, some stuff had to change. And, everybody's going through kind of some rough times, it seems like. So he's not immune to it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So what do you think? And I know you're in Vegas last week. Maybe you can share a little bit about that. But since it's been a while, how are things? How are you feeling about everything? I'm really excited to see all of this stuff come together. So much of the stuff that we are seeing is a lot of the stuff that many of us have been saying for so long, right? And it's just coming to fruition. How are you feeling about everything?
Still on the same page, Jenny. I'm still right there where I have been. I'm okay. Things that I have said I feel like are going to happen, and of course, I'm not just dreaming these things up. We're all getting it from getting information from the same people, and the people that we've vetted and people that we feel comfortable with, and we're watching that are out there working and being able to judge who they are and what they're doing. And I've got the group that I hang with, to get information and to work, get my hands dirty into whatever, learning what's going on. And yeah, I'm very comfortable. Now that doesn't mean that we're not going through that we're not going to go through some really rough times. I mean, it's rough now for a lot of people, whether it be health, money, relationships, just the world in general. And I believe that that's going to continue. But I like it that we all kind of hang in the same groups, kind of like minded for the most part, and we're going to be ready for those things. Things are not quite as bad, in my opinion, when I'm ready for them. It just
Right.
is having my head on a swivel, knowing what things might be hard to find in the future. That's why we keep food and water and keep our gas tanks. If it's half full, it's empty. If half full, it's time to fill it up. And we're seeing those things with Australia. They're supposed to be running out of fuel. Europe. This is what was going to happen, and what I think we've all talked about. There's going to be shortages. There's going to be a financial collapse type scenario. And yeah, when I feel have felt comfortable about things, it's because I feel like I know what's coming. Not that things aren't going to be rough, but just that I know I'm prepared. My mind, my body, my soul is prepared for these things. And some people have taken on the job of, hey, I want to get myself through it, get my family through it, help others through it. But there's going to be a situation where uh, there's a possible bankrupt scenario for the United States. So if everybody takes a second and says, what would it be like for me to go bankrupt. That would be a huge scenario. Now think about the United States doing that because of all these bonds, because of what has been stolen from us. And, they just continue to get more money and more money from us and not pay the bills that we have or just pay interest. And that has happened forever. All these things are going to come to a head here pretty soon. Of course, Juan's the one that, a few years ago when I started saying, hey, everybody, we might go through a type of Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Well, that's what we meant. This is where we are. We're getting into it now. We were always like, when's this going to happen? And my thoughts at that time were, hey, watch out what you wish for. Right now is the time to be very lean in your business and in your personal things. Whatever you do, don't quit a job unless you've got a better one or something that's good that you like better coming up. Don't spend money on a new vehicle just, that you don't have the money out here floating around somewhere that you can easily pay for it. And that's for some of us. And for some of us, some people, hey, you might have all the money in the world and I'm so happy for you. But those are the things that I've been trying to do, is give people a little outlook on what's coming down the road, and maybe they'll be a little prepared for it. And then, of course, whether it's work or being a father or a son or a friend, I'm a lot better at doing those things that I want and need to do if I'm on a high frequency, if I'm happy, if I'm in a good mood, if I've gotten rid of the people around me that are woe is me.
Oh, did we lose you, Warren? We can't hear you.
You did. Sorry, my phone rang. Uh, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I get to concentrate on doing good, making myself, but I can concentrate on working on myself, And when I do this, um, let's say the group that I'm with all the time, it's gotten to be where it's like going to my mother's home, which is a very high frequency where I have always been able to go. And I know people care about me. Nobody's going to be talking behind my back. I'm happy if something good happens to them, and they're happy if something good happens to me. We can cry together if with a problem. We can pray for each other, and that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm doing in my life, and that keeps me going. That keeps me rocking and rolling, in my opinion. So.
Well, and I think that's great, and that's me. I'm always of the philosophy of a positive attitude, right? I'm a very positive person, and you gotta have some laughter and all that stuff through this chaos, right? But it's like I've always told my audience, we are in a mental boot camp. So yeah, we have been told time and time again to prepare, whatever that may be. Go out and buy up all the toilet paper in the world or all the water, all the Lysol wipies, hand wipes, right, and the hand sanitizers. But we have been getting prepared for this moment in time, everybody. So I hope everybody has been getting prepared. I know I have. It's wild. Like go in my pantry. It's you would think I had a house full of people here, but no. But
Well,
yeah,
and
no.
and besides, even with that, there's other things. There's a formula to this. If I went down the list, I would say, does everyone know who their sheriff is? Does everyone know who is running for office at the county level, and who is making the decisions on what goes on in my neighborhood, and who is involved in my children's schools? Those are just normal things that, in my opinion, that's what I grew up with. My mother and father were both involved in things like that. But it kind of fell off a little bit. They're not involved with that anymore. Of course, they don't have children in school anymore. Don't even have grandchildren in school anymore. But that has kind of fallen off. And I believe that we need to get back to those things. It wasn't. Now, at the same time, maybe some of them weren't having to do two jobs, and they we're working together instead of having a divorce. And I believe that at that time, still the cabal was trying to take out the nuclear family, but it wasn't near what it is now. And they had, it was more front porch living, where you was always at your grandmother's house for every holiday, and you kept up with everybody. And even if you had that aunt or uncle or sister or brother that you didn't want to be around, maybe you kind of forgot about that while you were all together. And that's what I'm talking about. Let's get the homestead taken care of. Let's keep things right at home. Let's if something's not right in your family, maybe I should change it. Maybe if I go in with a good attitude and forget about things that aggravated me about this one, and problems with that one, maybe I need to start things, since supposedly I'm the one that's awake. And some people have called people chosen. Some people have said this is our time. So along with knowing our sheriffs, knowing who's running for office in our state, our county levels, knowing who the Secretary of State is, and in our kids' schools and things like that, is, if I can't do that, am I supporting someone like that? Supporting might be making phone calls for them or putting up a sign in somebody's yard. And what I believe is that what I've been seeing personally through this whole scenario is that I'm watching and talking to people in the background that are running for office, and they're in my coalition called TAP, the America Project. And everybody knows that has always been General Flynn, Juan, Patrick Byrne, Martine Rodil, Gary Bernstein, Peter Santilli, my border czar, Holman, just a lot of people. 6 of them are in Trump's cabinet. And that's why we are able to talk to, not me, but maybe I've been on some phone calls or Zooms with some people, but I don't get to call these people or even talk to them. But people in a group do. So there are many coalitions out there. And I believe that they are for certain scenarios. In ours, we work on elections, we work on fraudulent bonds and the border, which includes children. And in others, they might just hit one of those. Or one coalition might be about getting agriculture taken care of. And what's gonna happen with that? What's gonna happen with pesticides? Things like that. And that is what has been happening in the background. And I've been able to watch it happen. And I've been watching them get beat up. I mean, slaughtered at the polls, during elections. I've watched the cheating happen, and we're fighting it. And I believe that right now, I think everybody that has listened to me knows that I think that there's election executive orders coming. And I believe we had a part of one come out, I think it was yesterday, the time goes by. But that is just a piece. That's just a piece of what's coming. And to me, it looks like Trump has been either putting out feelers, he's testing the waters to see, hey, are we ready? Have the people woken up enough? Do we have the numbers to do what we're doing? And I believe he's going one way or the other, because it's time. But still, that doesn't mean tomorrow, and that doesn't mean whatever. There's a lot of people with a lot of deep frustration about how slow the process has happened, especially on key issues. And the people that I'm with, they're fed up with the election integrity process and how slow it's gone. But I don't get into that. I can only look at when is this going to happen, and me seeing just a little piece of it and knowing it's coming, just not knowing when. That really, really helps me. helps me know, okay, this is what's next. This is what's fixing to happen. And that means that when good things come out that we need to come out about fraudulent elections, about when children start getting saved and uh, people having abortion goes down, that's what they need. So they're going to be fighting. They're going to be bringing it. And knowing who my enemy is a good thing to know. You know, a lot of people look and say, "Oh man, we're over there fighting Iran." You know what? We're not fighting freaking Iran. I mean, yeah, that's what it looks like, and somebody could say that, and I couldn't argue with them. But really, we're fighting the British Imperial Empire. We're fighting the Committee of 300 and the Club of Rome and the Royal Institute for International Affairs and the Black Nobility of Venice, the Red Brigade. Those are who we're fighting. Those are the ones that control Iran, control China, control Cuba, Venezuela, and they cheat through Serbia. This is way bigger than just we went over and took out Maduro or we're going into Iran. This is so much bigger than that. Fighting the Illuminati.
Yeah, the devil, the devil, right? And that's the thing, there's people don't get beyond the surface part of it. They just stay surface level and they don't go a little deeper on it to find out really how big this is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if anybody ever wanted to read something on, they want to know about the Committee of 300, which is also called the Olympians. There are 40 to 50 branches up under them, consisting of the same people but have different names. But there's a book by Dr. John Coleman, and it's Conspirators Hierarchy. And I think it said the story of the Committee of 300. And that's who we're fighting. We're fighting the British Empire. And who we're taking out their soldiers like a mafia style scenario where if anybody wants to, if you compare it to the Sopranos, you got Tony, and Tony would be the British Imperial Empire, and then underneath them, underneath him, you've got the Club of Rome. Well, the Club of Rome also is where the American nobility folks would be. Richard Gardner, uh, nobility. That's he's in the Club of Rome. Like Kissinger got his orders from the Club of Rome. NATO takes their orders from the Club of Rome, whereas you've got the Royal Institute for International Affairs, which again is just part of the Committee of 300, just a branch off from it, and that's who the George Bush got his orders from. Kissinger also. Kissinger was in. I'm not sure if he was a member or maybe he was bona fide. I don't know what he was, but the Club of Rome, the Royal Institute for International Affairs, and the Council on Foreign Relations, those are the ones that sit right above the Bilderbergs and Trilaterals and Zionists and Bolsheviks. And each one of them have a different job, but all of them have a goal to overthrow the U.S. Constitution and to get rid of the useless eaters. And those useless eaters need to be gone because they consume natural resources, so they get to cull them as needed for their progress, their stature, and in their pocketbooks. So also the World Court at I think it's called the Hague or something of Holland.
Yeah, The Hague.
Hague, okay. That is that's what these people are all about. Now who's he fighting? When you see him taking out the United Nations, when you see him taking out the World Court, well, I don't know about the World Court, but the what is it called? International Institute for International Affairs. He's gone to these meetings and just said, "Okay, bye. You don't mean anything to us." The IMA, the International Monetary Fund.
When
See,
you
these
say he, are you talking about Trump?
Trump, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's who he is in battle with. Anybody that wanted to learn a lot about that could read that book or listen to Susan Kokinda. She was a guest of mine. I interviewed her, and I tell you what, she was great. But in many ways, this whole war is an attack on Christianity. And you've heard the word disintegration of industrial nation states. Well, that's what it is. So they go into a country to destabilize that country, which means they bring in divorce, abortion, takedown of the nuclear family, and that is all being led by the Committee of 300 that call us a surplus population. Now, am I going too much on this right here? Or,
No. You're good because I mean, like I was mentioning earlier, a lot of people stay stuck on the surface. So I think this is great. Keep going.
okay. Well, kind of going with that. A lot of people know the name Kissinger. Well, Kissinger was a ambassador to Rome for Carter. So I always look at what I'm saying, who's good, who's bad, who am I fighting? I look at ambassadors, the one that are the go-betweens between our country and our president. So who is that? That is the ambassadors. That's the SES. That's SIGI or the 78 attorney generals. Those are the ones that are, they don't ever get elected. They're placed. And these ambassadors that have been placed usually because the presidents had been told this is who you're putting in here because they are a member of the Club of Rome or the Trilaterals or something, because that's how the Committee of 300 gets their policies into our system. Now, anytime, okay, every year when the Queen went, she took her shoes off and she had to bow or curtsy, whatever you call it, to the City of London. She did it, and these people that are at least one person from the Committee of 300 is going to be there, and they're kind of doing it to that person as a symbolism. The Committee of 300 runs the City of London, runs everything that 1 square mile, or is it 10 square miles or 1 square? Anyways, whatever it is. So that's what's going on when a president is inaugurated, or in the past when one is inaugurated, then a member of the Committee of 300 is there and they're okaying it. And they've got all their people lined up to go up under who really run the government. The people we see up there, they're not the ones that run the government. They are just another mindless robot that is taking orders. When it comes to, so let's take Kissinger. Kissinger did not necessarily have any foreign policy in mind. Instead, he acted on the instructions, whatever it may be, of the Club of Rome, and he would take the heat. He had to take the heat, but he didn't have to take the heat because he was above the president when it comes to getting his orders. So Kissinger was responsible for, or helped take down Italy by the red brigades were in on that, taking out the prime minister Moro, like in either somewhere in the 80 range, 1980, 1978, something like that. And that's how it's always been. If they go into a country, Italy, the US, the Iran, if they go in there and things are not like they want them, and that ruler, president, king, whatever it is, will not destabilize and run their protocol over their country, they're gone. They're dead. And that's where you've seen the assassinations. Any president, any ruler that's been assassinated has been assassinated probably 9 out of 10 by the Committee of 300. So the goal was to bring Italy in with the Club of Rome for the purpose of deindustrializing the country and reducing its population. That's exactly what they've been doing in the United States. That's exactly what they did to Iran in the late 70s, when in Iran they were listening to the same music as we were at the time. They were driving the same vehicles, wearing the same clothes. And then all of a sudden, that changed. And it was when they put their guy in. They put their representative in there to rule that country. He's been ruling forever, and we just now stopped that with what we just did. We had to do that because a Middle East that is destabilized definitely weakens U.S. influence on anything, whether it be aid. Okay, a lot of these deals are done by the aid that we send to other countries. So obviously, if Britain or Europe sends aid in times of need, they're going to lean towards them. It's going to be easier for them to get their ruler on the same page and be able to control that leader. That's in Venezuela and Iran and Ukraine and Cuba, us, the United States, and others. And that is all stuff that we are seeing now, and we'll start seeing it in the news. Wow, all of a sudden these places are getting better. Now it might take some time, but that's what has gone, and that's why we are fighting the secret societies. We've been doing it for years. They did it. They did all of this through voting, through Castro getting it. He was the one that wanted to have the votes. He paid people out of a college, I believe, to rig elections the first time, and then he said, "Well, hey, I'll just sell that." Or actually, the Committee of 300 said, "Hey, we're going to market this. We're going to do this in 72 countries," and that's what has happened over the last 20 or 30 years. They've used the elections to get their people in place in from the top to the bottom, from the president to the county level, people that will play ball, and they did it through Serbia. And when you talk about the ones that were running things, well, you got to talk about the Europe, the British boys or whatever. They're the Brennan, Comey, Clapper. These are the fools. In fact, that's why Juan says that he thinks Brennan will go down first, because if you're really aware and you see who we're really fighting, yeah, it looks like we're fighting Iran, but really we're fighting the British Imperial Empire. Who are the London boys? The London boys are Brennan, Clapper, Comey. These guys, I think that's why he thinks they'll go down first. And he hasn't said that to me, but that's what's going on. Kind of
He said
like
it. He said it this morning.
What'd he say?
He said he thought that it would be more than likely Brennan to be the first arrest.
Yeah. It's one of the London boys to me, and I think Juan knows a lot more than I do. So cool, you know. That's always been a big thing for everybody. When's it going to happen? Who's going to be the first? And
but he also did say too that we understand, we know that we're going to go through some maybe trials and tribulations, right? What that may look like, who knows? But he did say that it's a lot of people talk about these sleeper cells, right? He did mention that that we're going to see some stuff, but I think they're getting ahead of it, and a lot of that stuff is being controlled, being handled right now, which is a good thing, because we know there's a lot of these illegals that have come through, right? And a lot of them are military age men. So, so I was excited to hear that when I heard him say that. He's going to be coming on my show next Monday, so I'm excited for him to share that about that stuff. You know, this executive order that Trump just signed yesterday. And everybody here, I just kind of want to clarify that is a great deal what Trump just did yesterday with this executive order. And like Warren has said, and Juan has said, you know, there's going to be more coming down the road when it comes to executive orders on the 2020 election. But these laws are already in place, you guys, with this executive order Trump just signed. He is just putting their feet to the fire to make them do the right thing, right? But since they're not, he is now forcing it. He's going in and being the enforcer. So these laws are already there, but now he's going in there and going to make it happen full force.
So yeah, I believe it's going to be in pieces. I believe it's going to be in pieces as far as this part of the voter rolls, and then the no machine. See, the
Yep.
SAVE Act completely gets rid of electronic voting machines. Okay,
Yeah.
so there's different things that do different things, and that hit certain bases, and that's how I believe that's how it's going to work out. And I think it's going to be a little aggravating because I had Patrick Byrne on last night, and he was extremely frustrated. Now I gotta say that he's frustrated, but in the background he's excited because he knows he's one of the ones out of the three that have told me that hey, he's got everything. He has the evidence. He has turned the evidence in. He has submitted it, and I've got it all. And when he found out and was able to look over what Trump had, he said, "Whoa, Trump has the mother load. Trump has, wow, whoa, how did he get that?" And I have to go
Well,
back. What's that?
he always says, Trump always says, we have it all, we caught them all. So
Yeah.
we have to believe in this man that, he's a man of promises and delivering, that when that means something when he says it, right? We caught them all, we have it all.
Big time, big time. But the people, okay, the people like Patrick, like the coalition, they're all doing it organically, and they have not been read into what Trump has until they see it. And they don't get to see it until they've got all theirs done. That is how this is working organically. Does that make sense
Which
what I'm
make
saying?
Yeah, which makes sense. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so I've seen that three times. I've seen that happen with Patrick, with Martine, and I can't say the other one, but um, good stuff is going on. Another thing is that people that I know that are all involved at the very top with the top clearance, and I'm not saying I know them. I know I've been on the same Zoom with them. I've talked to them on my Friday call. They have a few of them have gone dark. They are like it's like, hmm, something is brewing. And then all of a sudden we see the start of executive orders. We see the start of them talking about how the Treasury is insolvent, which means what happens when a business goes is insolvent? They can't pay their bills. They can't even pay the interest on their bills, and that's essentially where we are. The Treasury Department has said it. Juan sent it to me this morning. I can send it to you too if you need me to send it to you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. But what it amounts to is, if anybody has, okay, for about the last year and a half, probably I've said, look, we might go through some kind of Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Well, I got that from Juan. It wasn't just something I made up. I mean, I don't do that. So at this point, yes, I still do use a narrative. So from 10 years ago, when I started speaking about this, until 3 years ago, I always used narrative. I wasn't talking to anybody. I wasn't in any group. It was me and Chaz. And I always told
Look
everybody,
at
hey,
you
I'm gonna give
now.
you inside information. What?
Look at you now.
Well, doing my job, I think that's what I'm doing. So hey, just like you are, just like everybody here listening. We're
Amen.
learning, aren't we? We're
Amen.
learning.
Oh my gosh, every day.
We're learning. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. I'm seeing, and in fact, it's a little different in the background than is portrayed on a podcast sometimes. It's like, are
Agreed.
you putting on a show? What are you doing here? What's hey, what's going on? Maybe saying the same thing, but being a little more demonstrative about it or being aggravated. But I have to look at it as each one of us on this deal right here on the Revival of America podcast. We have learned things organically, depending on who we're listening to, how much we're listening to it, and how much we just need to take a break, and get away from it, and how long we've been doing it. And that's how we've been read in. We've read ourselves in, whereas so has Cash Patel, so has Patrick Byrne, so has so many of these people that are even in his um, under Trump. The people that are Pam Bondi, they do it by organically getting information. Anyone that has not studied it, we are way ahead of the ball game, just so everybody knows. Way ahead of the ball game. Now we might not have each subject as good as somebody else, but we are on the right page. We understand the continuity of government, like Professor Clements talks about, that he talked about at Bondgate that I was at the other day. We know these things. Maybe we don't have all the inside information, but we know. Well, the last 3 years, I've used a narrative and I've been saying what Juan says to me. And I remember when you started having Juan on, I don't know how much he tells you or anything. I hope it's something, but if somebody tells you something and you think they know more and it needs to be gotten out there, you say it in your own words and you don't say something that you're not supposed to, because it can hurt things. And we're not trying to be first, we're trying to be accurate. We're trying to do things that will help the movement, not that will down anything. Yes, it is my responsibility to question everything. I believe in questioning everything, but I'm not going to sabotage. No, either go to jail if you start sabotaging, in my opinion. And I don't like the down. Oh, well, woe was me, my butt hurts. I don't like that. I'm not into that. I don't play that game. That's not how I act around someone I care about, my mother. I don't go with my head in the dirt. All everything sucks. There's a way to get out of this. There's a formula. If I follow the formula, then I'm doing my job. What is my formula? Be a good person, get to know the Lord better, and maybe help somebody else know the Lord a little better. And it might be a good idea, if I have the ability and I'm not stuck in a chair all day, it might be a good idea to listen to what we are all talking about here. Get in touch with your sheriff. Know what's going on in your county and pick up some trash in the park. You know what I mean? Just do a little better than we did yesterday. And that's what I think this is all about. I'm very comfortable that we are in good shape. That's what I've been told. That's what my heart tells me. And that's where I'm staying until I see it. And then I'm going to yell it to the top of my lungs. But right now, I'm comfortable with the plan, even though I don't know the whole plan. But I do know the plan. The Lord is the plan.
Amen.
That's the plan. Don't tell me you don't know the plan. What is the plan? Know the Lord. And after that, love on your family, love on yourself, be good to other people, care about them, and get to know your freaking sheriff. That's where I am.
Yeah, that you're saying you're there and you're sticking to it. No, I'm right there with you 100%. And yes, Juan does tell me some things, and again, he was talking to me about this whole bond situation with the mortgages, and I think he'll come on and share a little bit about that maybe on Monday. But Yeah, I'm comfortable, and I tell my audience if people aren't watching or following Juan, they need to do that because he's been spot on. He's been telling us a lot of this stuff for a long time, and just like with his executive order that just came down yesterday, everybody, no, that was for the mail-in ballots. Like Warren just said, it's going to be like in pieces. So this was for the mail-in ballots yesterday, and what the Postal Service is going to need to do. And then we have the voting machines, which I think could potentially be the next executive order that's coming down the pike. So I just think everybody get excited. And again, know who you're following, know who you're listening to, and what you're putting into that mind of yours, because that brain of yours up there is one of the most powerful tools in your body. So, real quickly, Warren, before I have a couple things before we go into questions. So, everybody here at Telegram, if you have questions, start raising your hands. I will unmute your mic and you can ask your question to Warren, or Rumble over there on Rumble, type your question into the comment box and I will read it to Warren at some point. But being, we're talking about, well, I just said that the 2020 is the election. I think, was that it? Was that my only question for you?
Did you
Oh,
did,
okay.
did you need to know about the bond? Does everybody here understand what we're talking about when we're talking
That's
about
no,
Bondgate?
that's what I was gonna have you say and see if you can go into it because you were in Vegas, Juan was in Vegas, and it was a lot about the mortgage bond things that we're talking about. So if you could go into a little bit about that, and if you could share a little bit about what you're meeting, if you can, what you can share. You may not be able to share a lot. I understand and respect that, but what you can share, just kind of maybe go over that with the individuals, because everybody, this could be something we see as part of the scare event, if you will, or the gut punch, whatever. But Juan says the gut punch was it already happened when Trump was arrested. So, but Juan told me that this could be really if they don't get in front of it, a real gut punch to people when it comes to the financial. So go ahead, Warren.
Bondgate. It was something that was a invitation type scenario, invitation only. It had to do with TAP, the people I'm with on Fridays that work with elections and election security and things like that. Then it is whistleblowers. So it's like whistleblowers have come out of the woodworks, um, whether it be on bonds, whether it be on insurance, whether it be on Hunter Biden putting $1 billion in somebody's account to hide it. All kinds of different whistleblowers have come forward, and when a whistleblower comes forward, they're usually going to Matt. Matt is Juan's chief. Matt is my co-host on TAP, and he's also Juan's chief of staff. So I go to this Bondgate, not necessarily knowing what it was, just being told 2 years ago that because I went into talk time and I said, hey, everybody, we're going to hear a lot about task forces in the future. I don't understand it. I don't know what's going on, but there's going to be task forces and they're going to be everywhere in every subject and many of them. And then I start hearing about them again about 6 months ago. And I said, hey, okay, my light goes off, my antennas go up, and I'm talking about it, asking about it. So there's let's say the first guy there. First, I go in, there's about 100 of us. You can tell who is with the task forces, whether it's, I don't know if they're if this certain group was FBI. I know IRS was there. I know that there was a few big names there. And you could tell at the meeting because they were dressed in suit pants and jackets and dressed a little different than the most of us, who I was just in a pair of pants and a button up, just like a lot of us. Uh, so it was kind of neat. They had their own folders that apparently had all the information that they were going to receive already down. And the deal was to get these people up there that are whistleblowers in front of an audience. And most of them, I guess all of them, have been on my show before. So my show has been a ramp to get them up and going. A lot of them had never been on a podcast, well, they're going to come in and we're going to let them talk. We're not going to interrupt them, and we're going to just hang out with them, and let them get their information out, give them a little experience, kind of like what On Tap was for Matt, my co-host. Well, it fit him like a glove. He's great. He's a good guy. But the first one that came up was Mitch Wexler, and he came out, and his big scenario was, it's out of Texas, but it also is all of the school bonds, pretty much in the United States. So he says that it's on the low end, approximately $5 trillion in fraudulent school district bond debt, up to,
Did you say 5 trillion?
Yeah, trillion.
Okay.
5 trillion to 17 trillion. All right. That he's found. Wow. He's already turned it in to the FBI, to all the 3-letter agencies. It's already done. And he has, there are people that everybody here knows their name that are already indicted behind the scenes, that are being questioned about this. So this has to do with household property taxes that are used to cover the interest, but not ever the principal. So someone gets a school bond, hey, it's for the children. We got to get some money for schools so we can teach our kids, and nobody kind of questions it, or has questioned it in the past. Well, they get the school bonds, people buy them, and they start collecting interest on these school bonds. Well, to pay for that, and what they've done is that money they haven't spent on schools and kids. They've bought alcohol, women, kids, and Coke, and bought elections with that money. So what we're looking at is pretty much a extinction level event when it comes to these fraudulent bonds. Something that definitely has the ability, and possibly will be, what takes down our financial system. So when you're exactly right, when Juan says we got to get ahead of it, not that it's not going to happen, but that we don't want an avalanche coming down on us. We want a controlled demolition. We want it to be controlled so that civil war doesn't break out when all of these people say, well, you mean I spent all my life working and I bought these bonds, and now the bonds are not going to pay off, and that's how I support my family and live? That is civil war all day, every day. That's some bad stuff. Now, what it amounts to is we're not going to bail out. So back in 2008, we bailed out. We bailed out the banks, because the banks are the ones that are doing a lot of this. They hold that money, and they kind of like the money that Obama sent to Iran. That was also a bailout type thing. A lot of people think that, well, a lot of people have no idea where that money went to, but it went to the Vatican. It went to different places, and then was kind of rinsed and laundered and all that stuff, and then was put into every central bank there is, because they had to have a boost, kind of like in 2008. But when you say Enron, let's take Enron. What we've got going on is about 80 times to 120 times bigger than Enron. So Enron was like $6.5 billion in just a loss. And this, just with Mitch Wexler's scenario, is 5.1 to 17 trillion dollars. And when you go from billion to trillion, there's a lot of zeros there. That's a very, very big difference. And it's well, think about our debt. I don't even know what our debt is now, but that's a lot of that's our debt. Now, that's not counting This is just one. This is just Mitch doing this. When you get into Chief Sean Taylor, that is between 50 and $100 trillion that has all of this, buying these houses, that buying homes by these certain entities, and getting a home loan of $400,000 on a house, and a month later a $10 million loan is taken out on that same house, and it's just forgotten, and we make up the difference. That is a lot of what Chief Sean Taylor's, that's Act Blue, that's the insurance companies, that is, oh my goodness, it is they call it
It's
at the
wild.
Hill, they call it an ELE, an extinction level event when it comes to our financial system. It can't be paid back. Now, Mitch Vexler on his deal, he says that a 15% sales tax over a 3-year period in Texas, and then in another state, it might be 11% sales tax, will take care of it. But what he's not accounting for is all the rest of it that's going on. This, to me, what we talked about at Bondgate is what is going to take down our financial system, which was always known. We've known this is going to happen. Maybe just a lot of us didn't know how. I know I didn't know exactly how this was going to go, but I've always said, hey, we're having a new financial system. Trump is bringing in crypto. We're going gold backed. We're going to have a new currency. New currency is going to happen in every country, and it's going to be revalued. That's what this is, in my opinion. So if I'm seeing this, I should, I don't know when, but in the near future, I should be seeing a new system come out, and we've called it the quantum financial system. I should see more of countries having a new looking money, their money being different, new currency coming up, them having a crypto that is stable, like USLD, I think is what it is for the United States. But anyways, that's where we're at. That's where we're going. We're starting to see that happen. And this goes from the top of government to the county level, with people that are going to be in some major trouble because of this. And this is why Professor David Clements argues that the U.S. government is fundamentally broken. It is a necessity that this can only be fixed by military-led intervention, and that, so everybody knows, Trump's true authority lies not in the role as president, but in his role as commander in chief, and that allows him to do whatever he wants. And he has said, hey, there's these secret powers, and I can do whatever I want. So he also compares this to Abraham Lincoln, who suspended the writ of habeas corpus during the Civil War, and said that this is exactly the same scenario that faces Trump, because we are in an active rebellion, and it justifies unilateral action. He quoted Youngstown Steel decision, and notes that the president's power is at its lowest ebb when defying Congress, but can still act based on his own constitutional authority. He advocates for military tribunals and says that's 100% what it is going to take. He said all the judges are in it. He told Trump during his meeting in 2021, he said, pretty much, he supposedly was the only one doing the talking, and Trump just let him talk. And he was telling him, hey, this has got to happen. This has got to happen. This is what's going on. That's what's going on. And all the judges are in on it. And the only thing that Trump said to reply to him through the whole thing before he asked him to go to dinner with him was, all the judges, saying, well, do you think it's all the judges? And At that minute, uh, David said that in his mind, he said, there is a operation going on here. Wow. And then, which is continuity of government. Then the next thing that was on his mind was how John Durham, who did all his investigations and it ended up being kind of a dud, he turned all of that material over to the Department of Defense instead of the DOJ. That is huge. Why would he give it to the Department of Defense if this was not a military action? He would give it to the DOJ. Well, that's it. Well, we already know that civilian stuff is going to happen because it's happening. We've got 2 grand juries going on in Florida as we speak. That's where Pam Bondi is. People are giving Pam Bondi a hard time. Peter Santilli dropped all his information about everything from Biden to the elections to, I mean, every bad thing you can think of to a grand jury in Florida. And that happens to be where Pam sits. Trump has, when he talked about his graphics when he got shot or whatever, you know, he was, at that time, he stated that he left office on April 1st, 2020. And then looking at his repeated claims of he was the president 45, 46, and 47, Clements said, these are all things that led me to the conclusion that everything has been a sting operation, and it's happening real time. But it has exposed the systemic rot. And unfortunately, back in 2020, 22, 23, 24, 25, when we've all thought these things were supposed to happen, the United States, the people, the citizens were not ready to receive the baton. But he claims that with the 2024 election victory, where it was secured, and he cited Elon Musk's pre-poll closing declaration that Trump won, and it was absent of the 2020 F curve, the anomaly that's in swing states. Well, that's it. I know exactly about that, and I might have said it on this show, where imagine that the bad guys are in an election against Trump, and they don't even have a speech ready for the end if they lost, because they think there's no way with the cheating that they've done and what they've got planned that they can lose. And then all of a sudden they're in trouble at the end, and they decide, hey, I'm going to push that red button, and that's the end all to win all, meaning it switches votes, like Mark Cook shows us that can happen. And luckily, Elon Musk and the Doge boys got in there and hacked Venezuela and Serbia, and they were not able to push that button, and Trump came out a victor. Now that information to Elon came from Patrick Byrne and Martine Rodil. And I spoke about it. At least I spoke about it in Talk Time. And I might have spoke about it here, but in certain places I say things, in certain places I don't. But anyways, he also said one cool thing that he said, it's always speculation, is that he anticipates a major catalyst in the next 30 to 60 days. Something big is fixing to come out, which will create public demand for the drastic measures that ultimately have to come, of us being in some sort of timeout. I call that, when he calls it timeout, I call it EBS. I call it 10 days of darkness. I call it the wakey time for America and the world. You know, and what he calls it is Epstein stuff. That it's finally going to hit in 30 to 60 days. Now, I'm not saying that, but that's what I'm relaying to this group. Now, I don't think he knows. I know he doesn't know, but a lot of people are calling certain things different things, like Martine Rodil calls the information that Trump has the Holy Grail. So in talk time, whenever I came in, I said, okay, y'all, you're going to hear something about the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail is information that we have that Trump already has in the right hands of everything that went on in elections. He's got it all. Well, then Patrick Byrne comes in and he said, oh my goodness, he's got the mother load. And Patrick Byrne said, hey, whenever Washington does what it's going to do, that'll be the next time I come on the show. That was about a month ago. And he came on last night. Well, today, here in just a little bit, I've got a call with Matt and Martine Rodil. And I believe, I'm hoping that he's coming on in about a week. So Martine has been the backbone of a lot of this investigation, getting all the whistleblowers from Serbia, being in on hacking Venezuela, the mobsters, mafia, all kinds of people called them and gave them information for them to get the whistleblowers and have them together safe, running around about 170 different countries, running from safe house to safe house. Finally, after Inauguration Day, Patrick got to the United States about 20 minutes after and checked them all into an Airbnb where they've been the whole time. But now the right people, Pam Bondi, all of them have met with them and they have everything. We're going through grand jury. The grand juries are happening. They're supposed to be secret. 2 out of Florida, 1 out of Pennsylvania, 1 at least in New York, and 1 in Washington, D.C. And information from the laptops to election fraud to bonds is in the hands of who it's supposed to be in. So we're watching things happen organically because the Great Awakening is about us seeing it and going through it instead of somebody just telling us and fixing it.
And you know what? That's
Go
exact. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You go ahead, sweetheart.
No, I was just gonna back you up on that because we spoke about this exact same thing about we the people having to go through it and see it. Basically, we have to go through it, right? So yeah, no, I was just backing you up on it. It's funny, we were just talking about it on my last show.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I don't know if that's the right solution. I don't know if it is perfect, if it's good, bad. It's just what we're going through. And that's why I feel like my job is if I am asked or given permission to know this stuff, then my job's to get it out to people so that somebody that hears what I say will give it that information to somebody else. We're just duplicating ourselves. And then if I do that and this other person takes care of their health and their animals because that's what they can do, then that's okay. We're doing the same job. It's just a job. It's just making ourselves better. If somebody's going to run for office, it's no different than taking care of your animals, taking care of yourself if you can't get up and do and things like that, versus going to Vegas and going to this crazy Bondgate thing. There's no freaking difference. It's all us and it's not me. And if we keep that in our heads and we know as long as I'm doing, as long as I'm happy with what I'm doing, it's okay. And if I mess up, I'm human. And somebody can sit back and chill. We are going to be okay, in my opinion. So if that means anything, then great. I can't do anything about going and getting Moderna. I can't blow up Iran. I can't do whatever has to happen to Cuba here in a few days. But what I can do is what I'm doing. And everybody else can just do what they're doing, and we'll be okay. There's needs to be enough of us because we are duplicating. And 30 years ago, they were trying to get somebody on a crazy chat that you couldn't talk, you just typed, and they were trying to get ones and twos that would hopefully wake up in right then or within the next 2 years, and hopefully they would tell someone. And then instead of 5 people knowing, 10 people know. And then instead of 10, over the next couple of years, 200 know. And then it goes to 5,000, and then it duplicates and duplicates, and we're all doing the same thing. They're not listening good. So he's going to give us, in my opinion, some help pretty soon with all these things that he's taken care of. And then our job is to get involved on a local level and be a good person.
Now, is this something that sounds like I need to have you on my show a little bit more often, Warren? That you can come back on and share when you get this guy on your show. I think you said next week. Is this something you can come back on and share with the audience here? Where'd you go, Warren? Hello. Push the blue button.
Oh, hey, if you know my number, and if you want me to come on, so you just call me, and I support you. And I think I love your audience. I probably have been in talks with them throughout Telegram for a long time. And yes, I'll help anything. I'm in.
Awesome. Well, there you go, everybody. I'm going to be bringing Warren Armour from PPN on my show a little bit more often. I'm excited about that because you really went into a lot of depth where a lot of people maybe not have known where to start to even, like you say, you're doing what you're doing, and there's some people that are doing what they're doing, and if it's just walking their dog, then that's what they can do. But I'm going to do what I can do and help, in this part. So there are a lot of people out there that stay stuck on the surface things. They don't go further any deeper than just the surface, so they don't get to the root and the why. So yeah, you gave us a lot of great information right here, and how it
Good.
kind of goes from there to here and ties a lot of stuff in together. So
So one more
go
thing.
ahead.
If anybody is saying, what can I do? What can I do? If someone wanted to get into, let's say, the voting situation, there's a guy named Mark Cook, and he owns handcountroadshow.org. And probably Mary or one of the girls can put that somewhere if anybody wants to see it. But what he'll do is he drives around from state to state, and he's been doing it for about 4 years. He's in my coalition. He's supported by Patrick, by Juan, by all of us, and he comes on my show every Friday because we think it's so important. He's the one that is the forensic scientist and computer guy that can show everyone how votes were stolen on the computer. He's been there. He's dissected all of the machines. He's gone to see the governors and Trump and all his people, and he's the one they listen to. So he will come through. If anybody said, okay, I'll get in, I'll have a family reunion on a Saturday, and for about 2 hours, we're going to learn how to hand count votes, because that's going to be a big thing in the future. We're not going to use machines, in my opinion, again. So anyone that wanted to check him out, that would be a good thing to do. It doesn't cost anything. He doesn't make any money. In fact, he finances it himself, or we help him. And it's just to bring voter integrity to your town. So if you know someone that has something to do with elections already, you are gold. It's a big need, because one thing that they're going to say is, well, how can we do hand counted votes? They can never figure that out. But if we have already had someone that's done it twice, 3 times, gone through how to count votes, they've been shown, they've videoed it or something, then we would be the ones helping count votes, and we'll do it fair. And we don't care Democrat or Republican. We want free and fair elections. And that is something that is a big need, in my opinion. And somebody get in touch with me, or somebody can just email him on his, or whatever you do on his website, and he will come when he's in your area and teach you.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Warren. Okay, everybody, we're going to start taking some questions. I see some hands that have been raised. So if you guys have a question for Warren, please start raising your hand over here on Telegram. I will unmute your mic. If you can't speak, go ahead and write your question underneath his picture, on Warren's picture on the wall. And then rumble. Put your question over here in the comment box if you have a question for Warren, and I will read it to him. So with that, I think it is Miss Rita. You had your hand up first. Go ahead. Go ahead, Rita. Your mic is unmuted. Okay, Mr. Gittlehammer, how are you, my friend? Go ahead.
I'm doing great, Jenny. That's been a really good chat today, and thank you, Warren,
you.
for your mind being unlocked today. You've dumped a lot of data with us, so I appreciate it. But I was wondering, I wonder if you could clarify something, if it's possible to clarify anything in this movement, because the way everything works. My mind keeps going back to 2021, pretty much insurrection when the fence went up. I was hoping you could clarify. You probably already have on your chat on your channel before, but I just can't clear it up in my mind that the fence went up, the barbed wire's on the inside. In my mind, that's whenever Trump really became commander in chief on that day, and then all the Supreme Court, all the legislation, they either got their papers to comply, or they went away, or what have you. And that's when the 60,000 man army, the ghost army, really stepped in and fulfilled those roles all the way up to the present day. Is that even close to my thought process?
Yeah, I look at it as symbolism, putting a fence up around the Treasury and around the, what was the other one that he put a fence up? Man. But anyways, I look at it as a lot of foreign entities that are in our government got boarded up and got their eviction notice, and they said goodbye. And Trump became the commander in chief type scenario.
Well, really, we really haven't had a true Senate, or all this has been theater, in your opinion, even Supreme Court.
I kind of look at it as we've got that's the Supreme Court of the District of Columbia,
right?
And Biden was the president of the District of Columbia and a representative of the Club of Rome or the Royal Institute for International Affairs, and he kicked all of them out. And what we're doing now is we had that symbolism, and what we've been watching is the start up and everything of taking out the British Imperial Empire. Yes, I think you're right on.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. Can I ask one more?
Yeah, man.
Yes.
I feel like I've lived right in the middle of this bond thing in the real estate market here in North Texas, because we've been booming. We've been building schools, yada, yada, yada. And our superintendent we had has been superintendent for 6 years. And that's pretty much when the big boom came here in North Texas and prospered. So she along with four other superintendents just retired recently. And I've been just so happened back to the real estate and Sheriff Taylor, there was a house moved in next door to me, or went up for sale, and it got sold to a couple from Arizona, Maricopa, I believe. And it stayed vacant that whole time. Well, that whole time it was vacant, you were showing Sheriff Taylor. I was like, man, what a coincidence. Well, that came and passed. It didn't pass, but it came. And then this bond started blowing up, and I landed on Mitch and Travis on real estate mindset. And it's just phenomenal how we've been going through this journey and things have been falling in our lap, for the most of us. And back to, and to talk about the bonds that hadn't been getting paid for. For me, my thought is, I thought Sheriff Taters was so large it would start cracking in and we'd start seeing more. But then when this is hit and I'm seeing my superintendents resign, criminal charges going up on people, the pedophiles, the teachers, et cetera, it's been pretty wild. But
Hey man, you're right in it, man. You're on the right track on everything you're saying. The majority of these people that are involved, I believe, will be retiring. Some of them that are like in that scenario might go to civilian court, because civilian court, I believe, is going to be the ones where someone gets a deal for telling on others. Whereas military tribunals, there's no deal. Or if you've done certain things, there's no deal. Now,
Hang on, Warren. Your mic is unmuted. We're getting some background noise, hon.
I'm sorry about that.
Go ahead, Warren.
So when you talk about Gitmo, Guantanamo Bay, I'll be reporting from there some. Matt, my co-host, worked there, and he set up as a Marine, him and 5 others or 6 others set up how they interrogate people after 9/11. And there was no protocol at that time, supposedly. Well, there was protocols, but not one that had a really, really good percentage of getting the right information. What they were doing is deciding, is this guy just a driver? Does this guy have any information? Can he lead us to a big dog that had something to do with it? So he's very familiar. And part of doing our show and why they wanted Matt on there is that reason. So he would have a place every day at 6 o'clock Central to tell what's going on from Gitmo. And last night he told me, yeah, I'll invite you. I'll take you and show you around. I said, okay, great, cool.
Oh, you'll have to keep us posted on that. Thank you, Ghetto.
You need somebody to carry bags, Warren? I'm available.
All right.
Hey, I want to finish up with this. Our superintendent.
Okay, well, Ghetto, hang on a second, okay? Because I've got some other hands here, and I've got a show with Captain Kyle at 6 p.m. your guys' time that I got to get ready for. So just be mindful of that.
No problem. I'm just excited. I mean, Warren's got me all excited. I apologize for that, but I don't have any more
No, you're good. Don't apologize. I'm glad you're excited.
It was good. It was a good
excited,
chat.
And hey, you're also ready for it's not all cookies and ice cream, and we know that here. It's going to be nasty. It's not going to be fun. It's going to possibly really suck, worse than anything we've had happen in our lives besides deaths of loved ones and things like that. It's not going to be good, but we're going to be prepared for it, and we have inside information, I believe, and that's what this is all about.
Thank you, Warren. Thank you, Ghetto. Okay, real quickly, I have a question over here on Rumble from Ashley Summer. What is Mark Cook's website again? Can you give that to me, and I'll put it in the comments over here for Rumble?
Handcountroadshow.org.
Handcountroadshow.org.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, cool. Let's see. Who's next? We've got, what is it, SJ? Or are you still here? SJ, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead. I probably said that wrong. I don't know, SJ, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead, guys. We are on a time constraint here because I do have another show with Captain Kyle. So if you have a question, please go ahead and ask your question to Warren. If not, I got to move on to the next question, guys. I have people over here on Rumble, too, that have questions. So go ahead, Colorado Mama. Your mic is unmuted.
Afternoon, Warren and Kelly. Or Jenny.
Yeah, this is Jenny.
I gotta remember who I'm talking to at any given time. I just wanted to ask if the situation with Tina Peters, I've been really close to this ever since her lawyer came and spoke with us out in Parker, right after meeting with her after her abduction, let's just say it that way. And was she used in this particular situation to illuminate this problem? Colorado's got so many problems. I mean, this is just one of them. Living here today is so shocking. It's so shocking. They just shut down all the schools in Sheridan, a major area of Denver today, because the teachers went on strike for the rest of the week. And, you know, between the No Kings and everything else, we got so much stuff going on here. It's just a crap show. But Tina Peters, was she used to illuminate this problem of the cabal in the elections way back with Mike Lindell? Is that what this was about?
Many people have asked that, and all I can go by is that I talk to people. Matt, my co-host, talks to her on a pretty regular basis in jail, and she has Apollo. Well, Apollo will be on with me at 6 o'clock today, so I'll know more at 6 o'clock on my own tap show. And Apollo is the closest one to her. He's a lawyer, and she calls either him or Tracy every morning when she wakes up, so they know she's okay, and every evening before she goes to bed to know that she's okay. I see from what I can see, I don't have any other knowledge of it being some kind of sting or used. I see it happening, and I have to look at it as organic. So that's where I'm at. Now, I do know that Trump has, when he met her, he told everyone, this is Tina, and she's going to be a hero. Before she had to go to jail. And she's on my Friday call for 3 years before she went in jail. And we fought, and we got her the best lawyers we could. And Trennis is really working hard, and Peter Tickton is really working hard. And they all say that it's just nasty and it's terrible. And so I have to say that it's just happening, and not that it is for exposure. But I hope, I'd love it if I was wrong, but that's what my heart says.
Well, I do know that the lawyer that I actually spoke with right after he got back from the Western Slope, he had to take his family into hiding. So, you know, there's a lot of warriors in this beyond what appears on the surface, but to take on something to save our nation and to save humanity, and to have to go into hiding and to hide your family is, you know, we just need to pray for all those kind of people. And there's a lot of different kind of soldiers in this fight.
It's been happening a long time. We've got another one on my call, Tracy. We call her the one-woman wrecking machine because she had a lot to do with the executive order that Trump is putting out. Or we did a mock-up and went through the entire thing, and she was very big in it. Well, they're trying to put her in jail. This has been happening for a long time, where people have had to hide, and you know, there's places that people go hide. You might hear of a place called, I don't know, Valhalla, and those are real places. And
here's something I learned yesterday, Warren, and I don't know if any of you guys knew it or not, but the movie The Walking Dead, it was produced by Valhalla Productions. I was telling SG on that yesterday. He's like, "Oh my gosh, it was wild." Somebody came into the chat and said that. I thought it was weird.
there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of there's filmmakers that are part of the alliance. There are very rich families from even London, the city of London, that have been doing humanitarian work forever and already have sites and buildings erected and ready to go, and they are placed on ley lines. And there's a lot of stuff in preparing for this, but it's been going on since the age of time. Humanitarians have been out there forever. In fact, if there was ever a child stolen and they had enough, the right people knew them, these high-ranking oligarch families that are good are the ones that would send contractors in to get them. It wasn't like it is now, where there's a lot of people out there working for these children and taking down pedophiles. So there's good out there. Good things are happening. You just can't see them all the time.
Thank you, Warren. Thank you, Colorado Mama. All right, let's see. Here's a question over here on Rumble from T Boyd 1120. Question: is this money going to be pulled back from our corrupt banks? The money we
I don't
spoke about
necessarily
earlier.
know how that's going to work exactly. I believe there will be. Okay, first off, if that money is just gone or it's already spent or we take their property and sell it of all the central banks or whatever happens, this is for everybody. And you will start seeing some things that have to do with our straw man in the future. And there's going to be somebody might not have been able to buy any currencies or silver or gold or XRP or anything ISO 222 compliant, but that's not going to be a big deal. This is for uh, God's chosen people, where God's money backed by gold or gold and silver, everything's going to be backed by it. We're going to be okay one way or the other because that stuff is real. Strawman is real, and is that going to be a what do they call it? A universal income type thing? There's
Yeah.
going to be things that are going on. People are going to get raises as far as Social Security. People that have been on disability are going to go to the top of the line, and things are not going to. They're not going to be just messed with for 5 years trying to get on disability when they actually have an issue. So, well, that's the golden age we're going to. As far as the bank's money and them paying it back, I could not look anybody in the eye and say one way or the other.
Thank you, Warren. Thank you for your question over here, T Boyd. Let's see, Joe P. Your mic is unmuted. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jenny.
Of course.
Warren, you mentioned to get to know your sheriff, and the particular county that I live in has had a number of FBI investigations within it, and it's been targeted towards some fairly high level people in this community. There's a lot of corruption cases that are going on, but one of the most corrupt people in my county is the sheriff. So he's not really somebody I care to get to know, and I know enough about him through other sources to know that he's playing on the wrong team. So in that scenario, what do you recommend?
Well, then are there any deputies that are there? Would that not pertain to you? And you get to know who is running for the principal at your daughter's school or your neighbor's daughter's school just behind the scenes? Or do you find out who is an America First or has the same thoughts as you that's running for office that you think is not taking money and will do a good job? So yeah, I'm right there with you. That will pertain to some people and not to others. But whenever this gets taken care of, I think that one thing that we all need to do is, not everybody's going to do it, is know who our sheriffs are. He's a good one to call when people have issues with law enforcement or anything. But that might not pertain to you. So I'd go after the other things. Just getting to know who was in my local government, my county level. That's
Right.
where I'd be, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think every community for the most part is corrupt to a degree because of this political game that we've had to play for the last 150 plus years. But it is, I mean, massively corrupt in this particular community where I live, and I mean, it's just one cover up after another here. From the county commission to the state legislators to the U.S. representatives. And Trump has actually endorsed one in particular that doesn't even live within the district at a national level, and he's a United States congressman. He actually represents a district outside of the district he lives in, and I'm hoping that is a spotlighted event for him. I'm pretty sure it is, because I couldn't imagine if Trump actually knew him. And the people that he was associated with, that he would really would back somebody like him. But you also indicated that this event or these series of events that are going to come are probably going to be the most terrifying events that any of us have ever experienced. And it may not have been the exact word terrifying. It was somewhere along those lines. But can you give just a 40,000 foot aerial view of what that could look like, and kind of how does that play out, and does that play out this year, and will that include mass arrest? Because I know John Michael Chambers has mentioned previously that there's over 327,000 sealed indictments. Does that mean a lot of those sealed indictments are going to hit most communities in this country, and is it going to be a cover for those sealed indictments being transitioned over into arrests?
Yeah, great question. First off, Trump's advisors, I believe, from the outside looking in, from what I hear from the people running and things, that his advisors have definitely made mistakes, and he has put his name behind some people that definitely do not deserve it. And I think we're all hoping that, oh man, there's a reason he's putting them out in front, but I don't know. I could not say that's what's going on. I can say that either that or mistake has been made. As far as mass arrests, yes, I think we're looking at RICO. I think we're looking at sealed indictments where this is going to be a grand conspiracy of, first off, we're going with anything that has to do with national security, which means the first thing you do then is take care of your home front. I think we're a whole lot better off as far as the people that Biden administration brought in, and that a whole lot better off than we were a year ago, and way better than we were a year and a half ago. I'm hearing that they're hitting that hard, and it has been very strategic. And Mike Holman has been very involved in the streets, taking folks down and really involved. As far as let's see, there was something else. There's 600 JAG officers that are ready to go. They've already been called up. I can't say that. I know of some that have been called up. I had a guy named Rick something on my show. He's a whistleblower. He was at Bondgate with us, and he actually lost his lawyer right during the middle of his case, where Hunter Biden had just taken over somehow his finances through lying about what he had done, and hid a bunch of money in his accounts. And he went to Trump and said, "Hey, this money is here. This is what they did. This is how they did it." And he had already had some dealings with Trump, because he did a lot of speaking for very influential people out of India. And so he lost his lawyer because they got called up to be a JAG lawyer. It was a woman, be a JAG lawyer. Those JAG lawyers, and from what I understand, will work closely with the military, whether it's National Guard, I'm not sure, but it will be one grand conspiracy with everything under kind of election and bonds all kind of wrapped into one, because of a foreign entity in our elections, which brings on, if there is foreign interference in our elections, it is no different than dropping a nuclear bomb on Manhattan. The consequences are the same. So if someone is in that, they get the same freaking punishment as the ones above them. Now, that means that I believe most of those would go military tribunal. But then I've also been told that the people that get tried by civilian judges and things, that they're the ones that have made a deal and have not done what the bad stuff. Now, who's scheduling all that and everything? That's the stuff that I believe is happening silently behind the scenes by the military. Military is not going to be in your county taking care of this and all in this. They're going to be silent. They're going to be off to the side preparing for what's coming is the way I've been looking at it.
Thank you, Warren. Thank you, Joe. All right, El Capitan, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead.
Hey, Jenny. Hey, Warren. It's actually Aaron, SV Neverland. I had to pop out and come back in. But anywho, Warren, such a pleasure, such a blessing to have you here on Jenny's chat. Thank you. We tune in regularly on PPN with you, with Matt. And
Mark Cook Fridays.
you know, we love our Mark Cook Fridays. That's what we call them. But also, Martin Rodil. I am so excited to hear the news that he will be back shortly because I remember when he said, you know, we follow elections. Phew. Anywho, but thank you. Everything else you've been saying, I'm 100% behind you and exactly what you're saying because, yeah, I see the same path. And, oh, crap, the one thing. Oh, I was going to ask about Tina Peters, but no. My question, what's up with this Kristi Noem's husband stuff? I mean, is it just one of those things? Look there. What else is going behind the scenes? Because, like, Trump's talking at 9:00 p.m., and I yield.
Very crazy thing there with Kristi Noem, and I don't know exactly, but it is bringing a lot of attention. And is it getting us ready for something that is a lot bigger than we actually understand, and that it's going to be in a lot of places? And if it can happen to Kristi's and her family, that her husband did that, should everybody really be watching? Is it a narrative going on? Is more of that going on? Or is that part of the investigation? It's just they've got it ready and they're busting people. I don't know, but I'm anxious to see. And I feel sorry for her and him and their kids, whatever, you know, it's nasty. But I couldn't tell you. I don't have that information. That's what I'm thinking, though.
72-hour rule. Let's wait. Let's watch and see what happens. Distractions everywhere, everybody. Thank you,
Great.
Aaron. Thank you, Warren. All right, Casey, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead.
Yeah, hey, I got a question for Warren. So when you say it's going to get nasty, can you kind of explain or expound on that for us? What do you mean by that?
That was the other question that he had asked earlier, and I was trying to remember what it was.
Right.
Okay. So I think the best way to know what's going to happen in the future is watch the past. So the George Floyd thing, we're always hoping there's not going to be a civil war. We want, at the worst, civil unrest. I do expect blue cities, blue states, in blue states where they think they have a stronghold, to be a first plan of attack, to destabilize and make that place, you know, they would do that because they're in trouble. They've been told, all right, go, the go sign is happening, cause havoc, get civil war going. And starting with something like that, or starting with, we're fixing to have issues, or a lot of people in the world are fixing to have issues with fuel. Fuel could be something that could shut people down, and everybody just say, well, I've never, unless it was a storm or crazy snow or something happened, I've never not been able to purchase fuel. Well, what does that do? That shuts down all the trucking, that shuts down everything as far as going and literally buying water and toilet paper and anything. That shuts people down. And most people don't have that on hand. They don't have that's a big thing. That putting the fear in people, or people having that fear, they'll do anything. They'll go steal, beg, but whatever. Along with, when this financial thing happens, imagine anybody on here going through bankruptcy. That'd be a bad thing. But what if our country, all of a sudden they say, oh, hey, we're bankrupt, pretty much like they just did? That's just ridiculous. And then everybody thinking about how much taxes they pay per day. And you take this group that we've got right here with however many people, and how much this week we've paid in taxes, and these idiots have stolen it and bought beer, cocaine, women, and children, and bought elections and sold drugs with it,
That should piss everybody
that
off.
is bad, and people will react. And I think in here we've said, everybody settle down, stay out of it. When I say stay out of it, I mean there's going to be possibly some crazies. Now, is that going to happen? I don't know. Is something going to stop all that? I don't know. But that's what I have on my mind when I say those things.
Like the next 30, 60 days, possibly? We could look
I've
for
heard that.
something like that?
I've heard that, yes.
Okay.
And I'm not saying we'll be going through that the next 30 or 60 days, but maybe the start of something. And would that last? I mean, think if it lasts 2 weeks, how bad that will be. Well, what if it lasts 3 months? You know, that's people will die. And I believe that bad things will happen to really good people during this. This is taking out the British imperial empire who has ruled over us, that believe they are there to rule over us and enslave us. And that's what they've been doing. And while they've been doing it, they've been eating children and drinking blood. These people are funky. Yeah,
Well,
they'll do anything.
I think too, though, that's one of the things why it's had to be this way and it's taken so long, is because that's what they are trying to avoid, is a civil war and the least amount of deaths as possible. So again, that's why we've been in this mental boot camp, whatever you want to call it. But this is why, stay out of those large places. Just stay vigilant, guys, and just be safe out there. There already are a lot of crazies out there. So how this is all going to play out and look, nobody really truly knows.
Amen.
But at the end of the day, Trump, that's one of the things he doesn't want is mass casualties. So hence the reason why it's all having to take be this way.
Yeah. And that's why I think we will see a little bit of everything that we've all talked about, whether it be the financial system, a 15-minute city, carbon credit scores, freaking robots doing bad things. I don't know. Everything we've talked about, I think we'll see a little part of it. Maybe not where we are, but in the world somewhere. And it'll be talked about. And yeah,
I think it's going to be a lot in these blue radical crazy states. So I mean, they're just off the chains right now. All right, Miss Lisa H, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead. Go ahead, Lisa. Your mic is unmuted. If not, Gittle will circle back to you. You can finish talking about your question you had for him. Go ahead, Lisa. Go ahead, Lisa. All right, go ahead, Gittle. Go ahead and close us out with finalizing whatever you wanted to finish up with Warren. Go ahead, Gittle. Gittle, are you there? Crickets?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm good.
Okay.
I just appreciate your chat and all you do, Jenny and Warren, and this has really been a good day. A lot of good clarification from Warren and you, and let's rock on. Let's do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Gittle. And Warren, I'm going to get you on here. I know you're busy with your gymnasiums and stuff, but what does your schedule look like? If I got you on here like every other week, like every 2 weeks?
We can work that out, and we can set up a time, and
okay.
Just why don't you text me like we normally do, and I'll go over my schedule, and then I've got to set that up with my assistants who do my schedule and tell them, hey, don't schedule anything for this time, and we go for there.
I need to get one of those. Yeah, I said show off assistants. That's what I need to get as an assistant. I'm just like going at both ends. I can't keep up. But
really,
yeah,
they're my bosses. When my mother and father retired, I had to have 2 bosses, so I can't do it all. So
yeah, no, I hear you there. All right. Well, you guys, you heard it here. Warren, I'm going to get him on. he is definitely one that if you're not, I know many of us here are already following Warren at PPN and many of the PPN staff over there. So if you're not, check him out, guys. But he's going to be coming on, bringing more great information to the podcast here. We will get him on a schedule for every 2 weeks. I'm excited because we all love our Warren. He's such a sweetheart. So with that, everybody, God bless you all. Thank you for being here. Captain Kyle will be here in an hour and 15 minutes. Yay, it's been a hot second for Captain Kyle. So come check us out with Captain Kyle at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. And Warren, I'll text you in the background. We'll get you scheduled for 2 weeks. Thank you, my friend. It was good to see you.
Same here. Always good to see you. And I know so many names are familiar to me, and proud of what you're doing. And thanks.
You too. Keep up the great work. We love you, Warren.
Yes, ma'am. Have a good one.
Take care. Goodbye, everybody. God bless.